But Arsenal just blew them away. Bukayo Saka in fantastic form. And as Wrighty said, is it as much about the fact that everyone else is kind of carrying their share of the burden as much that's allowing him to shine?
Absolutely. I don't think anyone in the Premier League's playing as well as Arsenal at the moment. You know, they're rolling people over, you know, really are. Only sharing the goals around the team. Martinelli's back to his best. Odegaard had a little bit of a lull period. He looks like he's really picking up performances. Saka's been unbelievable. Jorginho coming to the side, he pushed Declan Rice on. He looked really better in number 8 position, but he's been outstanding. Gabriel and Saliba give him that solid base. It's all going well for him at the moment. I just think the time will come, and we're not talking about, because of the amount of goals they've scored, the time will come in this run-in when they get that game where teams sit back, it's not really going for them, they're not playing free-flowing football, they're not opening teams up where they haven't got that number 9, they haven't got a sniffer, they haven't got that clinical finisher like Haaland. Who has? But Haaland makes a difference. When you're not playing well, he will score a goal and win you the game. I'm not sure Arsenal got that, but there's no reason why they can't continue to play like they're doing now and win the Premier League.
You know, the thing what I would say with that is I remember that period where none of them was scoring, all 4 of them, no one was scoring up front. But defensively, we were really, really solid, and we are very solid defensively. I think without the ball, we're the best team out of ball possession. And so what we're hoping is going to happen now is that, you know, the conversation is always they need a number 9, you need somebody to take the half chance. I've even said it myself, but with the guys scoring now, that will be the test. You know, when you get into one of those games with the low block, can you break them down? That's what we're going to have to do. But one thing that I am confident that we could do, apart from Porto, is defend. Defend solidly, because that's what you've got to build it on. And then you've got to hope that when they get the chances, they take them. Because we haven't got the number 9 at the moment, and we're not going to get him. So it's going to have to come from within. So the main thing for me, what I love about what Arsenal are doing at the moment, is how well they are without the ball. Yeah. Defensively, how well they're doing in set pieces. So, you know, you have to hang on, because you know what City have got, you know, Liverpool's experience as well. And you just have to hang on and stay in there, and that's what they're doing.
Righty, we're not talked about the goalkeeping situation anymore. Early on in the season, we was. Is Raya an upgrade?
Well, you say he's an upgrade, but if you look at his numbers, yeah, his numbers are better. You know, you can't argue with that. Arsenal seem to attack more with him. He's collecting more balls in the air, stuff like that, which is the margins, I suppose, that Mikel was going for. It still seems like you can't see the margins, but if you look at the numbers and the data, Arsenal seem to be playing better when he's in goal.
It's also the speed of movement that you have with David Raya, because he just makes it all go so quickly. Yeah. And I think that's what Arsenal need, because that's their tactical weapon, is that they move the ball so quickly and then overload and then find the spaces to then strike the ball. But I think this is how you can really define a good project and a great manager. And one of that is that they built from the back. And so they made sure that their midfield is perfect and that their backline's perfect. If their backline has problems, then, you know, or one-on-ones, Zinchenko will move to midfield, Gabriel will start doing the one-on-ones. They understand the limitations of their players. They also understand the strengths, which one is better at what. And that they can move their chess pieces, you know, whether it's Kai Havertz, whether it's bringing in Jorginho, whether it's using Trossard now. And I think that what is brilliant about Arteta is that he's understood he doesn't have a number 9, so he's maximised the potential of his players. That means maximizing set pieces. Okay, let's score from those. Let's get the fundamentals right. And having that ability to build from the back allows you to sometimes sacrifice not having a number 9. Because if you can get goals from everywhere else by teaching the game well enough and understanding how to cover for the limitations, who's a good guy, and everyone it looks very happy, and it seems like it just doesn't affect them how tired they could be.
Jorginho, like you mentioned, Jorginho with Declan Rice, and when they're doing the double pivot, and Declan's got the licence to go. Jorginho's the one that can thing moving very quickly. He can take a pass and one touch and you're in. Newcastle, if we're going to be totally honest, Kels, I was very surprised. I thought that they were going to be putting a lot more pressure at the back and try to do a mid-block at least, so they can win the ball in an area where they can get their pace going with Gordon, with Isak, with Almiron. We didn't give them the opportunity to play. Arsenal did not give them the opportunity to get on the ball. Guimaraes, I think he got taken off and didn't get anywhere near the game. And this is what I'm saying. Arsenal, without the ball, are so intense.
It's interesting you talked about Newcastle, because obviously they've had injuries, but they look exhausted at this stage of the season. The sort of physical intensity that we've seen from them has dropped off enormously, and injuries might well be a big part of that. Whereas you look at Arsenal, who, as you said, look full of energy, and particularly since they went on that mid-season break to Dubai, and it just seems to have cleared any cobwebs that might have been remaining for them, because their form since then has been incredible.
Well, they all look fit, don't they? They all look ready to go. I think it was a welcome break for them. Little warm weather as well out there, and listening to the manager and impressing small details what he does with the group. But I just think when you're winning games, you don't feel the tiredness. I think with Newcastle, I'm not sure it's their legs what are tired, it's their minds. You know, they're losing games. Last year, they were winning football matches all of the time, and you've got that upbeat feeling around the dressing room and the training ground. And at the moment, it must be dead in there, you know, really, really bad. And, you know, I worry for Eddie. I really do. I think it would be a poor decision to get rid of him, but I think he gave him too much too early last season. I think losing Dan Ashworth's a big blow to him. I think he was the cool head. I think he would have been his cushion to say, hold on a minute, let's not make any rash decisions there. All of a sudden, they've lost him. He's going to go to Man United, isn't he? And, you know, their decision-making now might be...
You know, City could have been a couple more goals up. And what they showed, and what Bournemouth showed teams, that if they don't take them, because Erling Haaland, at the moment, he's having that patch where he's not quite connecting. He's still miskicking a couple, even the one for Phil's goal, he miskicked it, and the goal, he parried it. But they're in that period where they're not ruthlessly blasting teams. Yeah. And so if you can get away, you saw Chelsea nearly beat them. You see Bournemouth, they had chances, Bournemouth could have got something. And the only thing that can stop City, because we know their experience, is if they do not take those chances and they concede late on. You look at Liverpool, it's going to come down to, with Liverpool, the experienced players come back. What can you say? They've got, you know, Alisson Becker's going to come back. The defence is going to be strong. The midfield's going to be, and then you're going to get Mo Salah back. So you're thinking, where's the weakness going to be in Liverpool apart from, and they've got their manager leaving at the end of the season, so they've got an extra 20% in them. And for me, Arsenal, yes, they're defending brilliantly this season, and they've got to continue to do that. But again, it's going to come down to those half chances taken. That's what's going to have to happen with Arsenal.
Oh, it's just going to come down to the smallest of margins, and hopefully it stays tight right to the very end, this title race, or certainly as tight as it is at the moment.
Well, it turned out to be a very comfortable evening for Arsenal. They were dynamic, really, weren't they, from the first minute to the last?
Right from the start. You know, I'm always happy when you see Jorginho and Declan Rice playing in that double pivot, but it's like, it's the intention right from the off with Arsenal. It's Havertz and Ødegaard with the closing down. You know, right from the start, they set the tempo in what they were going to do. We know that Newcastle would like to slow it down. They want to slow, but Arsenal didn't give them no time. Didn't give them no time on the ball, no time to relax. Arsenal were in their faces right from the start. Newcastle couldn't get no passes going. Everybody was marked. Everybody was tight. You see Ben White getting in there, making sure he's winning the ball back. And when we get the ball back in here, then we're starting to play from this kind of area, round the corner passes, touches, and it's just unlucky there. Good save from the keeper. But this is what it was like all day for Newcastle. And they didn't know what hit them. Ball's in there, round the corner. Brilliant play from Saka here. Round the corner, 1-2, and Declan's in. Maybe could have gone across the keeper, but, you know, it's no problem. Just the intention set out. And this is where the goal came from. Once we get the ball here, there's not a lot of time and space. Look, so much time and space for Jorginho. Great run from Martinelli. And this is what you want from Kai Havertz. Getting into the box and scoring. That's what Kai Havertz does. Sometimes he might miss a few, but that's what he does, and he's been doing that from the start of the season for us, and long may that continue. Again, Ødegaard, who is our chief closing down player, he really does put pressure on teams. Again, we should have scored there. It would have been good to get another couple. I was hoping for 6. This was brilliant. This was brilliant today. Simply just see the both of them set the trap, and then once that's gone in there, now Arsenal win the ball in these areas. One touch from Declan Rice into Saka. Now with Saka, you do not want to let him come back inside. He's going to go outside, and he cuts back in, and then bang.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful shot.
Look at that shot.
It's a great shot, isn't it?
Look at that, yeah.
It's a really good shot.
And I don't know if you know this, but Saka becomes the first Englishman to score in 5 successive Premier League games since a certain Ian Wright OBE.
Nice one, Saka.
Yeah.
That's, like he says, all he wants to do is just carry on doing his stuff.
Yeah.
He's the greatest, man. He's the star, man.
Yeah,
He's a star.
he is. That's 6 wins in a row now for Arsenal. 25 goals scored in 2024 in the league. Looking good.
It is looking good, learning from last season and just got to keep doing what we're doing. Keep doing what we're doing.
Can they win it?
Yes, otherwise what we're doing here? I have to think that we can win it. Otherwise what we're doing? We're scoring goals left, right and centre, man.
Yeah. Who's we? Is
Arsenal, yeah.
Oh, right.
Sorry, yeah.
I just wanted to...
I'm still there. I'm still there available if they need me. I'm there.
Are you an ambassador like he is?
No.
Whoa, why are you going there?
No, I'm just a fan. Just a fan, baby.
Okay.
Well, Arsenal's form this calendar year has been absolutely fantastic, as you can see. They've won all 26 goals they've scored in that time. The last 3 games they've scored 6, 5 and 4. They're playing brilliantly, and they're still third. My point being, it shows
what are they going to do?
How hard it is going to be to win the league. They're in that sort of form and they're still third.
Listen, they have to be in that kind of form because they're up against 2 sides that, are not going to waver at all in Liverpool and City. And Arsenal are just saying, listen, we are here to stay. They're playing some really good football and they're big names. They're important players, are consistently playing well. Odegaard's been great. Saka's been great. Rice, Jorginho came in, but Rice has just been a revelation. I just think at the right time, they're putting this form together.
What do you think they've done? Better? No one.
At the moment?
No one.
No one playing better, is it? No
one playing better, sharing the goals around. We're not talking about the number 9. I still think we might visit that. I think it's when they're not playing and opening teams up and sharing the goals around the team when they need that sniffer, the scruffy finisher. They haven't got that when the team sit back against them. It's going to go down to the head-to-heads against each other. Some big games coming up. Slipped up in Europe against Porto. Just purely experience, I would suggest that. I think they're still in the tie. But they get back to work. And
great response, though. Great response.
Great response. Really? I mean, brilliant. In front of their home fans, Newcastle can be dangerous to anyone. I know they've had their injury problems and are not like they was. It's a magnificent result for Arsenal.
What do you think Mikel Arteta said in Dubai? Because it's all happened since then. They'd had those poor results, obviously, home to West Ham, beaten at Fulham, lost at home to Liverpool in the Cup. What do you think exactly is the tone of what he said to them out there?
I like to know. Whatever he said is good. But he's obviously, he knows to push the right buttons. They struggled last year when they were leading it up. I think they haven't got that pressure now. They're chasing. And I think they're relishing it. I really do. Sometimes when you're so far ahead like it was last year and they're looking over the shoulder and Man City don't look like they're going to slip up, it does add that extra pressure. I've been there myself, it's just a little bit edgy. You're always looking for the juggernaut coming behind you and it comes. Don't worry, it comes. But this time they can play catch up. They're the ones putting the pressure on Liverpool's and the Man City's. Look, I just think whatever he told them, he got it right. They needed that break.
Yeah, I agree. I just think he's got good harmony. I think everybody seems to be on the same page and all the players are involved. And there doesn't seem to be 1 or 2 players that are unhappy. They all seem to be pulling the same way. It's great.
As Tim says, we may well revisit the centre-forward discussion in the summer, not now. Havertz is a really interesting one. And from outside, if you don't support Arsenal, what do you spend 60-odd million on him for? And where does he play? Sometimes he plays that sort of inside left. This time he was playing false 9. What do you both start with you, Dion? What do you make of the Havertz at the moment?
I think he's doing OK. He's far from the money that people have spent on him. Some lovely little touches as we're seeing here. He's not a centre forward. He's a player that I feel has to play in a 10 role because he's got a very creative brain. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer.
Is he a luxury player?
Yes, he is.
Can they afford a luxury player?
Possibly not. But at the moment they're having to use him. And he's getting goals and he's not getting as many as he should. But I think he's OK. I just can't figure out where his best position is. I don't think anybody...
OK is not a ringing endorsement.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh, that was a really poor finish.
That's an awful finish. Think over the keeper, take it down the keeper, but do something. He doesn't make a decision on what finish he wants to use, and at the moment...
With your coach's hat on, Tim, what do you think Arteta sees in him, wants from him, the role he wants him to play, which seems to vary, actually, week to week sometimes?
I feel that Mikel thinks he's very versatile and flexible and he can play him in different positions. I agree. I think he is a luxury. He gives you nothing out of possession. He's a big size, he's decent in the air, but he doesn't really perform like he's good in the air. Wonderful touch, good vision. He's a big game player. This guy scored a goal in the Champions League final for Chelsea. You know, he's probably anonymous in the game, but he pops up with big goals. So I think Mikel's hoping that he can pop up with big goals at the right business end of the season for him. But what position? I wouldn't know unless I saw him every single day. I think he's a 10. They don't play with a 10. Now it looks like, you know, Jorginho goes in there magnificent yesterday when Jorginho went and they released Declan Rice and Odegaard to go forward. At home, I would suggest...
Maybe just with Jesus coming back, it's simply a bit of flexibility. Sometimes he might play in one position, sometimes another.
I mean, he's not a stocking filler, is he? I mean, he's a lot of money. You know, we're talking about a player who's got good credentials, but I can't put my finger on exactly what he does well. If you said to me, what does Kai Havertz do well, I would say he does that okay, that very well, that nothing. He's a jack of all trades, not a master and none.
You don't know his skill. You don't know if he passes well. He doesn't finish well. I can tell you that for a fact. Doesn't head it brilliantly. He doesn't tackle. I don't know.
It's good to ask the Arsenal fans, Mark. You know, I go every week. If they could pick him or Trossard, who would they pick? I think I know the answer.
Me too.
I think they would all have Trossard because he affects the game more. He always assists, he always scores, and he gives everything to the eye. You know, but sometimes Mikel's seeing something a little bit different. I think if you're looking for that special moment, I think he has it, as long as you can carry him along the way. And I think defensively, with Gabriel and Saliba playing like they are, I think they're capable of doing that with Declan in there. You're absolutely right. Declan's been the difference.
And as a manager, you would understand that if Arteta was sitting here and saying, listen, with all those players you've just talked about there, I can afford him in certain games, actually, because the rest is so strong. Right, what about Newcastle? Because since Nick Pope got injured, defensively, they've gone to pieces.
Yeah, a bit of a stinker, haven't they? I've said it all along, and within especially at the highest level, that these guys are playing, if you haven't got relationships that have been formed for a long time, then you're starting to see gaps. When you've got two centre halves and a keeper, or you've got three back at the back and a keeper, as Tim will tell you, you want to play the same all the time to get that relationship. He's not there now. They're not quite sure what the keeper behind them's doing. So then things are going to change. The ball's going to be rolled in a different place than it normally would do. They're having to think a bit more. They don't want to have to think. They need to know the keeper's there.
I don't think we should give Karius a hard time.
No, not at all.
To do with Karius yesterday. It's easy to say, well, it's his first league game for 6 years. Everyone remembers the Champions League. How didn't I do with Karius yesterday?
I mean, the game in the first half was played in one half of the pitch. I mean, he couldn't get out. Isak up there on his own, no one within the same postcode as him. They've not got Wilson at the moment. They can't get any support up to him. No Joe Linton, physical presence in the middle of the pitch, takes the ball on when he dribbles. I think they really struggle at the moment. I worry for Eddie Howe. I worry for the decision-makers there, because no Dan Ashworth. He's the man with a level head. Dan Ashworth's on gardening leave now. Looks like he's on his way to Manchester United. He was the man who would settle them all down, all the owners, and say,
that's
I'm
a team thing,
man.
Tim, isn't it? You know that. You look at that, and it's easy for everyone to go, oh, the defence of the goalie. That's a team issue.
Yeah. And normally, the finger gets pointed at the manager. But also, the finger must get pointed at the manager for what he achieved last year. So I think he's allowed to have a little bit of a lull, and the injuries have been crippling. So give him a break. I think he's a correct man. He keeps level-headed, and he's certainly, in his interview there, he's an honest man. You know, he's authentic.
We would say give him a break, but we all understand how football works now. And Newcastle, whether you think they're the richest club in the world or not, that doesn't matter. There's plenty of money there, and we all know that the pressure now is on with that level of money. They reached the League Cup final this time last year, that actually they need to be winning something. And so that pressure exponentially goes up on Eddie Howe.